everyone, I'm Reina.
I'm Phil.
And welcome back to 1 Minute Board Games. Today we are coming back at you again with another monthly recap.
So these are all the games that we got to play in the month of June.
And to start us off with some quick statistics, we played 42 games together, 37 of which were unique.
37?
Yeah! So only 5 games we played like multiple times, at least us two
goodness.
together.
Wow.
We gotta start, I don't know, replaying games or something?
Yeah, probably.
But there's a lot of games out there.
There is. There's way too many.
And out of those games, 21 were new to us. New
21.
to the both of us. Yeah.
Dang.
We put in some work this month.
We did. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Alright, so if you are new here, we typically like to end our videos with a new game and an old game that we want to play for the next month. So we're just going to go ahead and check in and see if we got that done.
So in May, the new game that I wanted to play was Robot Quest Arena. And I'm kind of sad because I didn't get to play that.
Oh no!
Yeah, and then we had to send it off, but we'll get it to the table eventually.
There's a really great, I think it's on Tabletop Sim, so we can still play it on there. And so for me, the new game that I wanted to play for June, which he's actually played before, it was Fort. And we did get that done.
Yeah, we did.
I was actually kind of surprised. I don't know if he had that in mind because I had come home one day from a day at Clinicals and you're like, you want to play a game? And then you had Fort set up.
I think I had it, I read the rules, and so I was just like, let's just play. I feel like playing a game.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they just announced a new expansion called Dogs and Cats.
Cats and dogs?
I think it's Dogs and Cats.
Yes, dogs first. There you go.
If you haven't heard about that, be sure to check it out because it's a cute little expansion.
I'm so excited.
All right, so an older game that I wanted to play was actually Calico.
Oh, and you definitely got that to the table.
I did. I got it to the table twice this month, which is super exciting and definitely.
Was twice? Oh, right. You got to play it with your friends. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I feel like it's a great, not really like an intro game.
I don't know if that's an intro game. My brain was
I
hurting.
kind of take that back, but my friends love cats, so I had to be sure to bust that out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, so my game that I wanted to get to the table this month was Terraforming Mars.
Oh.
Yeah, and we didn't get to play it. We did get a chance to try out the Terraforming Mars Ares expedition, but we chose to play a different game instead. But we'll probably get it to the table. So
yeah, I think we might get it to the table in July, but I don't know. we talked about last video how we should take these games out and set them aside, and we didn't do that.
We didn't do it.
So maybe if we do that this one.
I think we're gonna do it for this one because the 2 games that I chose for this month that we want to play next month, I do really want to play it.
Okay.
So we're gonna get it out.
All right, so let's go ahead and dig into the rest of the video.
Yep. Okay, so let's start us off with a game that we'd like to get back to the table. Let's start with Reina.
Okay, so the game that I would like to get back to the table, which might be a bit difficult considering that we don't own it, but it's Tawantinsuyu, the Inca Empire.
Okay.
And this is designed by David Turchi and published by Board and Dice. So this is a game that we played over at our friends Christina and Shu's house, and Christina actually taught it to me, so I'm going to do my best to try to relay that information to you. This is a crazy game. There is a lot going on. Basically, you are trying to gain the most glory in order to become the next Sapa Inca, which is the next ruler. And it's like standard Euro. There's like a lot of things that you can do, and a lot of different ways that you can score, and the board is crazy. It kind of looks like a bunch of like webbings everywhere, a lot of like symbols and stuff. But it has elements of classic worker placement, you know, collecting resources. There's like a little area control sort of aspect to it. And it's very nitty gritty. So all of these different symbols on the map are places where you can place your worker. And when you place your worker, there are like 3 to 4 different action spaces around it that you can take, but you only get 1 action per worker. But there are different ways where you can take more than 1 action. Some include, you know, matching the color of the worker to the color of the space, or you could pay for another action, or if you have like the certain like god statue of where you place it, you can take like a bonus action. So it's a lot of thinking, and it's hard because it's cheaper for, there's like different like sections, and depending on where your high priest is, it's cheaper for you to take actions in that section. And so, but if you don't have the matching, simple card to play, then you can't take that action. And so I kind of fumbled early game. I don't know what happened there. I lost pretty terribly, but I thought it was really fun. I think there's a lot that you can do in the game. And now that I know what I'm doing, I think that a second playthrough would go a lot better.
Yeah. So I actually didn't get to play this game. I chose to play Hallertau instead. So I don't really know what was going on over there on that other table. I just know that the board is crazy looking. It's like this giant like square or pyramid and a whole bunch of symbols. But I'm glad you really enjoyed it. That's super cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know what situation I would play this again. Maybe if they wanted to play it again. Yeah. But it's something that I want to play with you. I feel like you might enjoy it.
Maybe.
It's a bit intimidating, and we always have the discussion where you're more into like theme now.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I did really enjoy Zolkin. So yeah, I think that's part of the T line. But yeah, okay.
So what is a game that you want to get back to the table?
All right, so my game that I'd like to get back to the table is actually Red Rising.
Oh, yay!
Red Rising is designed by Alexander Schmidt and Jamie Stegmaier, and it's published by Stonemaier Games. So this game is based on the novel, or the book series Red Rising, and I think the system is based off Fantasy Realms. But it's actually
inspired.
Yeah, super cool. Where it's a hand management type game, but also not so much like set collection, but there's like a lot of point salad-ish.
This is a crazy high scoring game.
Yeah. So each of your cards, your basic turn structure is you're going to either play a card or like draw a card and then do the action. And there's 4 different sections on the board, and each of the sections has a different way of scoring. So one way is just moving up a track that gives you points. Another is getting helium-3, which is more points. Another way is getting like a token and doing your special power, which usually is just another form of something on the board. And then the last one is the Institute, where you just are placing cubes, and the more cubes you have, the more points you score. And so you are playing a card and then you're doing some action. So it's pretty simple, but the crux of it is finding your like perfect hand size, because each of them has a score that they score, but also a bonus score if you can like complete an objective.
Yeah, if you can meet the requirements for the bonus score.
And so the whole thing of the game is like you're getting rid of cards, but when you get rid of them, you also have their action that you can do when you play it, and then scoring points, but then taking other cards to try to, get your perfect hand set up. And so I thought, so we initially played it, just the 2 of us, and I thought it was okay. We played it with 3 and I enjoyed it way more. So I'm curious how it'll play with 4 players.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know what the
player count is. I feel like it's 1 to 4.
I feel like there's more because maybe? There was like 6 of those the card holders, isn't there?
Oh, is there?
I think so.
It might be 5.
Yeah.
But I do want to try it with more players. It's fun with more players because you cycle through more cards, because the deck is very big, and so it's totally possible that you're waiting for like your one perfect card and you're not going to see it in the game, which is part of what's so fun about it, because on every turn, on almost every turn, you're going to be playing a card and then taking a card. So you have to make some decisions about what cards you want to keep in your hand and if there are any cards that you want to take.
Yeah. So that was my game. I definitely wanted to try it with more players.
Nice. All right, and next we're going to talk about a game that surprised us. So we'll go ahead and start off with Phil.
Okay, so my game is Cubitos. It is designed by John DeClaire and published by AEG. So this game totally reminds me of Quacks of Quedlinburg. You are basically in this cube world, and you are doing this yearly cube race trying to be the cube champion. And essentially there's a whole bunch of different little dice that you get to draft, and you're racing around the track trying to be the first person to get to the finish line. And you're going to be doing this by rolling dice. You're going to get some money to purchase more dice, and then you use those dice to move forward on the track. So it's this really cool like I just love my dice games. And so if you give me a dice version of Quacks of Quedlinburg, like
I'm all
of course
over
I'm gonna get into that. So this game surprised me because I totally
judged it by its cover.
I did. I really did. I don't know. I'm not a fan of like the cheese SpongeBob like cover art, and there's also like nothing else that really shows me what this game is about. So I totally just didn't know what it was, but I just didn't like the cover too much.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think after our little challenge that we did where we judge board games by their cover art, which we'll link below if you haven't seen it, it gave me a newfound appreciation for games that are able to tell you what it's about just by the cover art.
Yeah.
And I had seen Cubitos, everywhere, but I had never known how it was played. And it was a big surprise to the both of us because dice rolling, push your luck, racing, which ticks all of the boxes for us, and we fell in love with this game in June. And I think we're both sad that we didn't get a chance to try it earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Missed opportunity, but I'm glad we finally got to try it, and we'll be trying to look for a copy of our own soon.
Yeah.
All right, so what was the game that surprised you?
So a game that surprised me is QE, which is designed by Ryan Birnbaum and published by Board Game Tables. So this is a game, like an economic auction bidding game, and you're taking on the role of a central bank from a different country. And there's a bunch of different countries in here. There's like the US, the UK, Japan, Canada. And you are basically going to be bidding on different companies to try and get victory points. And there's like 2 different routes in order to sort of earn the most points. And it's kind of like set collection. So you can either try to collect like all of your certain companies. So if you're playing like the US, then you could try to go ahead and win the US companies. US stuff. And there's also 4 different types of companies, which are housing, agriculture, manufacturing and something else, and you can try to just go ahead and collect those. And I had always heard a lot of things about this game, crazy things. So the general gist is that you can bid as much money as you want. You can
as little as you want.
Yeah, you can bid $2 or you can bid $2 trillion. There is no limit. However, at the very end of the game, whoever spent the most money automatically loses.
Yep.
So it kind of sounds a little bit like ridiculous at first, but I think playing it, you really understand. Like, I had a lot of fun with it.
It was such a strange experience. In your experience, you actually bid the most for your group,
Yeah,
right?
in my experience, I freaking tanked it. I bid the most and I lost.
So she bid the most and I bid the least out of our group. And we played 2 separate games, so it was 2 going back to back. And yeah, I don't know. I think that game is better when everyone has the same type of experience. I think if you've played the game before, you can kind of game the system because you know like what kind of strategy you're going for.
You definitely you're not going to know what you're doing the first time you play, which is pretty evident because I bid the most and I lost and he bid the least and he didn't win.
So
but I think the interesting thing is, so every turn a different player is going to set the price for the stock essentially. So let's say like this US housing stock comes out that's worth 2 points, and then say it's my turn, I will go ahead and start the bid like at $2,000, and then from there everyone else is going to secretly write down a bid on their check and then give it to me. And I'm going to look at it and I'm going to reveal who won it and how much they bid for it. So in this way,
actually it's not revealed.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't reveal anything.
The only thing that is revealed is the starting bid. Everything else, you are kind of in the dark. You know how much you bid and then how much the starting bid is. So if you bid over, all you know is that someone bid over you, and that's it.
Yeah, so let's say like my starting bid was $2,000, and then Phil bid $5,000. He gave it to me, and I look at all of them, and I give him his $5,000 back, and I say, sorry, you didn't win.
Yeah.
So then he knows that, let's say, Bob across the table won. Bob bid more than $5,000, but you don't know how much over.
Yep.
So it's cool because you kind of start to establish the economy within the table, and it's such a different, I can imagine it would be a different game every time.
Yeah, it is. It is very crazy, but yeah, so the game that we got to play, the starting bid for the first thing was $15,000. And the winning bid for that was 500,000.
Oh my god.
And then it just kept going up and up and up until I think our last round, someone bid 200 million. And so that 500,000 doesn't even look like anything anymore once you get to 200 million. So all those early bids were like free.
Yeah.
Free.
Free 99.
Yeah. So I definitely want to try it again and try that aggressive strategy. But again, if your table is aware of that aggressive strategy, they can turn it around on you. Because then if you bid something high like 200 million and no one wants to bid for it, they don't have to bid over. They can just say 0, and if you actually do 0, you get some points.
Yeah.
But only once per round. But anyways, they can do that, and so if the starting bid is actually the most, you have to pay that much for whatever it is. So you can't, have a too high of a starting bid, because then everyone at the table might, just say, no thanks, you can take it.
So you're telling me that everyone played into James Hudson's hands?
Yes, absolutely. James Hudson, you're a bully. Bully! Okay, so let's talk about a game that we would cull from our collection.
So I'm going to go ahead and start us off, and every month I give the same spiel. It was so difficult to decide. We played so many good games.
So true.
But also, we had another little thing this month. A lot of the games that we played, we don't own.
Oh, yeah.
So I cannot cull a game from our collection that we don't own. So without further ado, the game that I would cull from our collection is Go Nuts for Donuts, which is designed by Zachary Eagle and published by Game Right. This is a very, very cute game, and it's a very simple game. So it's very, basically you have like 1 through 6 numbers on the market, and every turn different cards are going to come out, and they're going to be like donuts or like coffee, a lot of different types, and they each score differently. So some might just be straight up points, some might be like a set collection sort of thing, and everyone is going to secretly pick which number card that they want to get. And once everyone picks, they're going to reveal, and if any 2 people or more pick the same card, then no one gets it, and that card is trashed. So the only way you can get a card is if you're the only player who wants it. And so it's super interesting because, sometimes you can tell that like a player wants a card, so you kind of want to like bid on the same card so that nobody gets it.
Yep.
But then you kind of want a card yourself, so it's kind of deciding like that sort of stuff. Or maybe that you and another player want the same card, so you're like, oh, should I even go for it? And it's like, well, I don't want them to get it.
Yeah.
And
so it's a tough decision between whether you want to go for a card that you can securely get, or if you want to block someone that is going for a ton of points.
And it's a light game, and it's fun enough to where you're gonna probably want to block other people.
Yeah.
And it was a nice and fun play, but I don't think that it's a bit too light for me, and I think there are other filler light games that I would want to play, which is my reason for calling it.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little filler game.
All right, so what about you? What is a game that you would call? Did you choose a game that we own?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so my game is Block Ness. Block Ness is designed by Laurent Escoffier. I hope I didn't butcher that name too bad. But it's published by Blue Orange Games. And this game is actually kind of cool. It was like you have these like little pipe thingies, and you are essentially putting it onto the board, and it like forms these Loch Ness monsters. And you're essentially trying to make it so that you can put out all of your pieces and be the highest like head above everyone else.
Yeah, so every time you place a new segment, you're elongating either your head or your tail. And so, there are different like sizes, so you can go over people, and it becomes very crowded and claustrophobic. So it's kind of like area control in that manner. And at the very end of the game, the tiebreaker is whoever has the highest head. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I thought it was super cute, and it looks actually pretty cool on the board. But if we have this topic, we got to call one game, right? So that was my game that I chose. So yeah, Block Ness.
So now it's time for our top 3 games that we played in the month of June, and I'm going to go ahead and ask Phil to start us off with number 3.
All right, my number 3 game is going to be Blackout Hong Kong. This game is designed by Alexander Pfister, and it's published by Eggertspiel. So this game, we've played it before at 2 players, and I thought it was okay. I thought the game felt kind of short on our first playthrough, but we played it again this month, actually like yesterday or something like that. And I loved it the second time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a way better experience, like, and it felt like we had plenty of time to do what we wanted to do. And it was just, I don't know. I don't know what changed between that play and this play, but I thought it was much better.
Yes, so I think that we did enjoy it the first time, but just our biggest gripe was that we felt like the play ended way too quickly, which I've heard is a common thing for people to think. But for some reason, the second time that we played it, I don't know if we played it a bit differently, like maybe because we weren't purchasing that many cards, which is kind of what triggers the end of the game.
That probably is it.
Or maybe we knew what we were doing, but I think it was a really enjoyable experience. And, you know, how I know he likes the game, he's like, oh, this is so cool. He's like, this is so cool every time we're playing a game.
Yeah, so if you're not sure what Blackout Hong Kong is, it's basically, so there is a blackout in Hong Kong. And you're essentially trying to restore power to it and going around collecting different resources and completing tasks to bring back the city. You're going to be doing that by playing cards face down, and then you play them face up, and you're trying to basically collect resources depending on the color and how the dice roll. And then you are going to be completing objectives by using those resources. And yeah, you are also just, when you complete objectives or anything, you will usually be securing districts, which are different shapes. And by securing districts, they allow you to get more points that way. So yeah, that game was great. I like want to play it again like right now.
Oh.
It's that good.
We gotta try it again sometime. So with more people, we need to try it with more people. I think it'd be so fun.
I think it's definitely risen. I don't know if it beats out Great Western Trail yet for me.
You're even like thinking about that though?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I
really like Blackout Hong Kong
but
now.
you also really like Great Western Trail.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Great Western Trail is still up there, but Blackout is like right there. Blackout was like right here before, but now it's like right here. You know.
Good game, try it out.
Yeah. So what about your number 3?
My number 3 is Cubitos.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, which we talked about before. It's designed by John D. Clare, published by AEG. And I really fell in love with this game this month. Like we touched on before, it ticks all the right boxes. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's a game that really benefits from like in-player interaction, because you can kind of look over like, oh, like Phil over there, he's like one ahead of me, so I guess like I need to push my luck again. And it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. My only gripe with the game, though, is that the end game, like, tiebreaker is... So if multiple people cross the line at the same time, then it's whoever, like, gets the furthest after that. And the last 2 games we played, the game went on for quite a bit.
I think there was, like, 3 extra rounds that we had to play because everyone was tied. And she was so far back that she just decided... I'm not even going to try.
I decided not to even try, but then it would keep on going. I'm like, okay, maybe I guess I should have tried, but I get a little impatient after a while.
Yeah. All right, let's go with number 2.
All right. So number 2 for me is going to be Merchant's Cove.
Okay.
Which is designed by 3 different designers. It is Johnny Pack, Carl Van Ostrand, and Drake Villarreal, and is published by Final Frontier Games.
Whoa. Okay.
So this is described as a highly asymmetrical Euro game. So the general gist of the game is you have this board and you have merchants that are coming in on boats, and they're going to be eventually docking to these different piers where you then have that opportunity to sell your goods to them. So every player has a different way to go ahead and make these goods, and they're also selling different goods as well. And it's really cool because for the most part, every player sort of has like a different like game mechanic that they're focusing on. For example, there's this one that plays like Potion Explosion.
Or the marbles. And
super cool. The other one was like a roll and write sort of thing going on. I played what was called the Innkeeper, and my focus wasn't so much on selling and producing goods. It was on making sure that the merchants have somewhere to sleep when they're done purchasing stuff. And I thought it was a lot of fun. I think I had a ton of fun. I don't know if it was because like my person that I was playing was super fun.
Pretty strong. Yeah.
Who were you playing as?
So mine was the dragon breeder, and I basically had to like breed these dragons and put out food for them to eat so that they could grow bigger and then sell these dragons. And I had to deal with like their poop and stuff. So it was like a little like pet managing thing, and it was cool too.
Yeah.
But I definitely felt like you like ran away with that game.
I did. I took the win and I was like, yeet.
Yeah, she killed us in that game.
So it's a common criticism that we hear about the game is that there's not much player interaction, which is very true, but there's still ways to influence, what your opponents have to deal with, because each of the boats, they have 4 different slots, and it starts off with 2 merchants on there, and once you pass a certain thing on the time track, then you're going to draw a merchant from the bag, and then you get to, place it on any of the boats that you want. And then once a boat is full, then you choose which dock that you want to go ahead and put that boat to. So you can kind of, screw someone up in that regard, which is kind of what I did to you.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't think there's like a different faction for everyone in there, I would feel like.
Definitely. I think one of the criticisms that I had of the game was that, each of the games is like a mini version of another game that you can probably find in the market. And so if you really like that game, I don't know if you would want to keep playing that faction in Merchant's Cove, or if you just want to get, the game. Yeah. And another thing is that even if I think that your board is cool, like there's nothing I can do about like your thing. I am still just playing my own board. But you
can play it next time.
Yeah, next time. So I think that aspect of the game is super cool, where each player is doing something completely different, but you are essentially getting the same things. So that I find is very fascinating.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful on the table. So I would be sure to check that out.
Nice.
So what was your number 2?
So my number 2 is going to be Kanban EV. Yeah, that's my number 2.
It wasn't number 1.
So Kanban EV is designed by Vital Lacerda, and it's published by Eagle Griffin Games. So Kanban was a game about like producing cars. Kanban EV is essentially the same, but it's now with electric vehicles. That's what the EV stands for. And classic Vital Lacerda, his designs are very circular in terms of like everything connecting to each other. And I don't think we'll be able to explain it like within a good amount of time, but it's essentially you're building cars, getting their plans, and putting cars into your garage, shipping them out, testing them. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Like this game is mostly like worker placement and then just like doing the actions of where you placed your worker. But I don't know, everything just connected with everything else. Like if you have a design, that design can either get you a car to bring into your garage, or it could be used to upgrade a part of that type of car, and that gives you more points every round.
It's very easy to like get into the groove of things, because once you take one action, there's pretty much like a logical action to follow that, which makes the game very intuitive, which I think was a lot of the reason why we enjoyed it as well, because it's a very busy board and it's kind of a lot to do, but it never really feels like super overwhelming.
Yeah, I love the way that you said that, because it does it doesn't feel too overwhelming, even though the board is huge, there's so much to do. But it felt like you had control over it, and you can do what you want it to do. I think when we played Lisboa, it felt like that one was harder for me to grasp, and it felt like I didn't I guess it didn't feel as intuitive as Kanban did for me.
There's a lot of referring back to like the rule books, even
and that little sheet that's like
the reference book. Yeah, even the second time that we played it, the both of us were still constantly referring to the rule book and to the reference book. Which, don't get me wrong, you need to do for like certain tiles and stuff, but just for the overall game, we kept on forgetting what came next and what actions did what. But Kanban flowed a lot more smoothly.
Yeah, like all the symbols were pretty easy to understand, and there's nothing that I really had to look for in the rulebook to like go back and play the game. But yeah, that was my number 2.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to our number 1 game of June. And for me, it was actually Kanban EV, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
Very solid game, and I did touch upon it in our previous discussion. So be sure to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what was your number one game?
So my number one game, can you guess it? I'm sure you can, right?
Oh, I'm just totally blanking on all the games that we have played.
All right, well, my number one game is Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. Come on, you should know this. All right, this game is this game is designed by Tim and Ben Eisner, and it is published by Skybound Games and Druid City Games. Mm-hmm. So this game is just gorgeous artwork, a lot of dice rolling. Mm-hmm. You know, that's classic me, loving my dice rolls. Mm-hmm. But you're basically a hero of the reef, trying to fend off the monsters from, what is this, the void or something like that. And you're doing these challenges, and these challenges are essentially matching the same kind of icons on the dice, and you're gaining more power as you do these different challenges. So it's the slow buildup of your character getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and then going to battle against these monsters and beating them using stronger and stronger dice. I love that whole upgrading of the dice. You get a pretty generic one with one of all symbols, and then eventually you can branch off into different ones where it's more focused on 2 or 3 symbols, and then the other side is also 2 or 3 symbols, so you can kind of pick and choose which symbols you want to go for based on the challenges that you have.
Yeah. The dice upgrade system is super cool. Like you said, you start off with white dice, and then you can go either red or blue, but then there's 3 different tiers within those red and blue dice, and you can just keep on upgrading them so they become better. But these symbols are used to complete challenges. So if you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, you sort of limit yourself with the types of challenges that you can complete. And so you want to keep it like a diverse profile. Yeah. But there's ways that you can lose dice as well. And so, if you're spending all this time upgrading a certain dice and you end up eventually losing it, it gets a bit tough decisions there.
Yeah, I just really like that it's pretty simple. It looks very overwhelming because there's so many boards and pieces and stuff like that. But as soon as you just say that it's a worker placement, and then, if you take this action, you also get to do what's on that island. It just becomes very intuitive. As soon as you know what one island does, you can know what the other one does, which is also another one, and it's a very simple game.
Yeah, and the worker placement gets really nitty-gritty too, especially with 4 players. You're really gonna have to adjust based on what spots are taken before your turn comes up.
Yeah. And I just love the deluxe components that you get. It's the little squishy oranges. That's amazing. Yeah. And then the shells.
I want to eat
them. I'm going to play it again this month.
Yeah.
Better.
This is a forever game for sure. It's so good.
It's so good. All right, so now that we got the top 3 out of the way, let's talk about new game that we would like to play next month.
All right. So in July, a new game that we got that I'd like to play is Eco's First Continent.
Oh, okay.
Which is designed by John DeClaire and published by AEG. AEG was very kind enough to send us a nice little welcome package. So this is one of the games that was included, and super excited to try it out. It's been described as sort of like a bingo sort of game. I'm not 100% sure how it plays, to be honest, but I have heard that it's one of those games where everyone is doing something on every turn, which is always super fun because there's no downtime.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it too.
Try that out. So what is the new game that you would like to play next month?
So my game that I want to play is a little bit cheating, but it's still kind of new. My game is Elder Sign. So we've played Elder Sign before, but I recently traded some games, and we got the Unseen Forces and the Omens of the Deep expansion, so I'd love to try those out. If you're curious, Elder Sign is designed by Richard Lanius and Kevin Wilson, and it is published by Fantasy Flight Games. And this game is basically Cthulhu Yahtzee.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you're essentially rolling dice 3 times and matching symbols and fighting against the evil forces of, all the Eldritch Horror style monsters. Super cool. I love that game.
Yeah, it was one of your gateway games, huh?
Yeah, it was. I think that's why it holds a special place in my heart.
It's super fun. It's a great cooperative game as well. Cooperative Cthulhu Yahtzee dice choking.
Yeah, it's great. You know me, dice.
They're gonna know by the end of this video.
Yep.
So now we're going to talk about an old game that we like to play next month. And by old game, we mean a game that we have played before that we want to play again. Mm-hmm. Which for you is...
It's going to be Moonraker. Right here. Look at this. There it is.
You mean the game that we've been trying to play?
Yes. Literally, we've been trying so hard to get it. So this is designed by 3 different designers. It is Austin Harrison, Max Anderson, and Zach Dixon. It is published by IV Games. So this game is essentially you are in space doing these different missions, and it's like kind of a deck building game where you have to, it's more akin to Dominion, where you have like one action and other cards can generate you more actions, but you're trying to match symbols with like objective cards, and then you get rewards. But the difference is that this is kind of more of a negotiation game, because you are trying to team up with other players to try and complete missions, because there's a lot of symbols on them and you can't do them by yourself for the majority of them.
Yeah, there are some really easy ones, but they're worth like not that many points, and so it's kind of not that worth it.
Yeah, it's pretty imperative that you do team up. And, you know, but when you do team up, you need to, like, offer other players.
Yeah, it's like, well, if I'm going to help you out, then I want 2 victory points that you're going to get.
Or, like, you get me coins or something like that. So, yeah, that's a game that I definitely want to bring out.
I think we're definitely going to do it, because it's been long overdue.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Moonrakers. All right, so what's an old game? What's an old game that you'd like to play?
So this is kind of a little bit cheating as well, because I have only played the digital implementation, and it is Root, which is designed by Cole Worrell and published by Leader Games. So have you ever played this in real life?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, you only played it on Tabletop Sim.
Yeah.
And then we have the Steam version, so we played a game of that as well.
Yeah.
And while I do appreciate that, you know, the Steam version lets you learn the game a bit more, I feel like with a game like that, I would really benefit from, you know, knowing, like, constantly having to ask if a move that I can make is legal or not, if that makes sense. I feel like if the computer only lets me do, like, what is allowed, then I'll just do it without really knowing why or understanding why. And I feel like it's a game that would also benefit from playing in person. It's definitely very beloved, and I really want to try it out and give it, you know, a really good chance. Because I feel like I didn't have the greatest time with it when I played it on Steam. Yeah. But our roommate is coming down to visit, and he's bringing Root with him. So we're 100% we're going to be playing this.
Yeah, we got to try.
He's bringing it. All right, so now it's time for the rapid fire round, where we are going to be going through the rest of the games that we played this month that we didn't get to talk about, and give like a one-liner or a couple liners as to how we feel about them.
All right, let's go.
And go. Dice Masters.
Super quick dueling dice game. Super expandable, really great. Abandon all artichokes.
A deck wrecker, which is super interesting. This is quickly climbing up and into like one of our favorites to play, so definitely check it out.
Nice.
Shifting Stones.
You shift stones to get more points, and you match it, and super quick play, nice filler game. The Game, Face to Face.
I completely taught this wrong the first time we played it, but once we figured it out, it's super fun. It's the 2-player only game, really easy to bring out and play at a coffee shop, which we did. Biblios.
Really cool bidding system, card play, but it really needs a retheme. Search for Planet X.
This is like Clue, but in space, and I think I forgot about this game when I was coming up with my prompts, because I definitely should have made top 3. Coimbra.
Dice drafting, moving around the map, different sorts of point salad game. Clank, a deck building adventure.
Push Your Luck deck building is my first time playing it, and it was really fun. I think it would play best at more players though. Cosmic Frog.
Psychedelic Battle Azul, you are a frog eating different tiles. Enchanted Plumes.
This is like Arboretum, but you're building a plume for a peacock. Libertalia.
Pirates looting booty. I really hope this gets a reprint. Gods Love Dinosaurs.
A nice little ecosystem game. Hallertau.
Classic Uwe Rosenberg, lots of farming, getting resources. Mountain Goats.
Mountain Goats climbing up a mountain, a really great filler game.
Meh.
Nita Valier.
Bidding system with really cool thick coins.
Dwarves.
Number 9.
A really nice puzzle game that you can play over a cup of coffee. Odin's Ravens.
card play racing game that features Loki. Marvel United.
I went all in. Res Arcana.
Super Mercado de Lisboa.
Small, really thinky game, bit claustrophobic. Saint Malo.
Oldie but a goodie, rollin' right, building a city. Nova Luna.
So this is kind of like a race to get all your little tiles out or your little tokens out, and it uses the same mechanism in Patchwork where you go and then go. Splendor Marvel.
Just like Splendor, but Marvel. Sorcerer City.
Real-time tile-laying game. I really like this game. Team 3, pink or green.
See, here, speak, team game. It's really cool. Building blocks. Valyria Card Kingdoms.
It kind of plays a little bit like Space Base, and it was super fun to play, and I want to try more expansions. And lastly, we got Volfirion.
Dragon deck building city destroying game.
Alright, so that was our board game recap for the month of June.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments below what you all got to play this month.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.